Welcome to Mindful Drawing. I'm Robert, and I'll be your guide on this meditative practice that enters a space of mindfulness through the act of drawing. This week, I would like to explore something that encourages a bit of release from the mind, release from the body, enters into a space of repetition and flow to help relieve a little stress, a little anxiety around work, things that have come up, just a change in schedule and lifestyle, those things that happen throughout our day, our week, our month. And can we find a practice that supports us in coming to balance with those external factors that may build up inside of ourselves? So what I thought we would explore this week is the movement of the hand, finding a shape like the figure eight or the infinity symbol there, that we can just have a continuous flowing change of direction that engages all the muscles of the hand, the arm, the fingers, the shoulder. They can even spread and engage the whole movement of the body as part of this flowing act of drawing that lets the pen or pencil express through that motion onto the paper. It's a nice form to modulate the breath as well, a continuous flow that lets us find our balance of inhalation and exhalation. By bringing all those together, releasing stress and anxiety out onto the page through the action, opening some space, just like that figure eight, a ribbon around a kind of described sphere of space sitting there, weaving with other rhythms, weaving together into a network, some kind of organic emerging shape as we go through the exercise. You can work with a pen and a little pad of Bristol here, but anything will work. Sketchbook, pencil, charcoal, anything that lets you move, and feel free to explore how you engage with that instrument and engage with the paper and let some of that stress flow out, be dissipated there into the emptiness of the space between things on the page. So go ahead and gather your supplies, establish your space, and let's draw together. I felt today that I just wanted to kind of move the hand to draw, just keeping something going to let that connection between the hand and the page really free something out onto the paper. Sketching around with it, and I thought a little bit of a figure eight or some track like that, but any shape, circle would work. Kind of a path that wanders could work, but I thought the track here of the figure eight is nice because it moves the hand around in multiple directions, but still has that continuous flow and can let us work left to right, forward and back, up and down. So we're getting to feel something of that out. But you may change shapes throughout. Just a plain circle works. It's a little bit faster. I was interested in a little slower, longer complexity of turning in every direction, inverting forward and back. And as we work with that shape, the exercise will just explore how we bring several moments of that sitting into the motion, tracking along the same path, gradually expanding it or fixing it in place with density, and then bringing several together as they interlock or perhaps overlap, connect in various ways that we can explore through the exercise, so that we sit to get a chain or linking connected feel to it. So the shape will be simple and let it grow, mostly bringing our attention and our focus to keeping that hand active and moving, maybe bringing attention to where the wrist sits on the paper or sits above the paper, the angle of connection, and letting that guide us to entering a space of calm as just that repetitive, free flowing motion takes us in to our own space. Before we begin, just a couple of establishing deep breaths as you inhale, filling out some space, feeling the shoulders and neck and back align, and then rest into the exhale. A couple of rounds of filling out and sinking in into a neutral, comfortable position, a posture that can support us for 20, 30 minutes drawing. And as you feel ready, finding a place on the page to begin the pen or pencil's journey. Accuracy doesn't matter too much. Just moving around through that twisted loop shape. Could be a circle or a ribbon twisted around itself. Could be tracks weaving under and over. Could be an 8, recognized as a number. Many things from that form. The first few becoming familiar with it, finding how many rounds or repetitions moving through that feel at pace. Well, too many may begin to feel overly repetitive. Too few leaves it light. Finding that middle ground or balance. And I'll just work through different ways of adding new ones at different sizes and orientations, picking up curvature from before, perhaps locking or weaving themselves into a larger chain or network as we go. And the first few that we do, changing when it feels right for you, noticing the direction you begin to draw in. It may be different for different orientations or locations on the paper, but if you can keep it in your mind that this time I'm beginning moving first to the right or to the left, me to the left first, tracking along, returning, coming to the right to slide through that tangent back to the left, around, weaving between. And whichever one you started with this time, on the next iteration, beginning in the opposite direction to feel it out, to bring some of our attention and mindfulness to the way we engage the paper, move the hand. Now moving to the right first may feel a little strange if it's not your default way of moving. That's interesting to observe that our mind and our hand may have a preferred way of interacting with a specific shape. Even if it's not a shape we spend too much time drawing about or thinking about. We have preference in the body to which hand gets a little bit more acuity or attention, built up on years of practice. As we bring some of our presence to that, trying to deliberately switch, start to the left, start to the right, start low, start high, noticing some of the things it brings to the forefront of the attention, perhaps slight oddities in the way we move, a little more resistance or jiggle, or perhaps some become smoother and more flowing than others, each bringing its own character to the element we're engaging at this time. And as you transition on your own between different iterations of the shape growing outwards from the page, taking a moment always to refresh the breath, refresh the posture, set that intention of direction. And as the meditation through movement helps to bring us in to a place of connection with that page, with the pen or pencil, and with the moment where we are, by gradually pushing everything else out, by gradually opening that twisted space between the curves, a hidden and marked center. Can breathe into that space. As you move to your next figure at your own pace, we've brought our awareness to how we start and stop. We can let that continue to guide us or drift into the background. That simple moment of taking a breath and thinking left, right, up or down. In that space of decision, inhaling with the decision made, exhaling as movement takes over in expression. From that initiating breath and moment open to a mindful choice, we begin to observe our natural cycles of the breath, perhaps aligning a little bit the speed we move our hand with the speed that our body is adjusting to in terms of oxygen. Inhaling on one leg, exhaling on another. First few shapes and observation. No need to push the breath to line up with the hand, but seeing where they are and if they may begin to have a connection. You may find that the hand wants to move quickly, and one cycle through the entire shape, one twisted revolution. Works with the whole exhalation. One pass through with the whole inhalation. Perhaps to start with the two spaces, the one of moving on the page and the one of breathing into the space of the body, don't line up, and that's okay. We can begin to bring those closer together through time and durations. Inhaling that start position, exhaling on the motion of expression through the instrument, finding key moments in the action to initiate an inhalation and an exhalation at a pace that's comfortable to you. Maybe a little bit slower, a little bit deeper, but still relaxing, not forceful or uncomfortable to maintain. Letting the hand maybe pick up some of the discomfort or awkwardness of speed in the breath. I find the crossing point, and the pen goes over one side to the other. A nice engagement moment. Once that breath calms into action, the first inhalation of finding place, first exhalation of marking out the territory, and then a cycle in around part of the loop, out through the other half, in for an extension and a return, out for an extension and a return. A continuous cycle of our presence, of our being here, respirating, replenishing the living cells of the body with the atmosphere around us. Exercising and replenishing the mind as it takes in the speed of something internal and uses that as a guide for the speed of something external, the pen or pencil moving on the page. Noticing if they start to feel tension with each other, speeding up the breath from its natural, comfortable, relaxing cycle, or holding it beyond what feels replenishing into tensioning. Or perhaps the hand begins to ache in a slow pass with the exhalation. As we're working towards alignment, a calm cycling, exploring for yourself in that space. Adjusting perhaps the form of the figure of travel. Larger loops for the slower part of your breath cycle. For me, that's the exhalation. It feels more attuned and relaxed to the body. A little bit smaller loop for the inhalation. A shorter slowdown. A longer release. Those rhythms coming together, wrapping around each other, tying in loose weaves. This external expression of our hand and an instrument drawing spaces on a page. This internal expression of our action, of our pacing, our mindful attention to the presence of our body, bringing the two together, the observing and the guiding a bit from the mind. The small thoughts of control that we bring to the hand. The guise of control that we bring to the breath, a thing needed and necessary, but adaptable to the context and a little bit to our desire, correcting as it needs to support the body, and also a place of play and exploration for ourselves to observe internally the effects and feedback from that autonomic system made present through our slight attempts at guidance or control. Always a dialogue. Opening up our senses, listening through presence to what may be happening there. What is the body saying? You're breathing too fast. I need a little more air. Or maybe it doesn't even notice everything is at a nice, even pace, fallen back from that initial attention, the practice receding into being, the repetitions of the hand, the repetitions of the cycles of inhalation and exhalation, becoming the rhythm of our fabric here, our background. And now we can enter a phase of exploring the space of the drawing, letting all of those observations fade away, opening up a bit of emptiness. The figure eight searching around a space, a volume or plane, a continuous moving along. Trying to capture a nothing in the in and without, as there's no figure to the border. Only a movement around. And maybe the movement can become more expressive and free, shifting the hand a bit as we decouple from that more rigorous attention to the breath, letting the body, the arm, the hand all come into play with the movement, and use this practiced figure and routine to draw a few minutes and see where this interlocking network takes you. In the 5 minutes or so that we have remaining in the exercise, we continue to explore that more exuberant expression of the movement, continuing to loosen in a little bit, maybe letting the body have more engagement with the drawing, letting the shapes wander a little freer, gain in their complexity. Or if the drawings become fairly dense, then the page is bringing a little resistance to more elements or pieces. While overlap is fine, at some point it may become a bit of a hairball. Noticing what your eye is observing, drawn to. I find myself interested in the spaces forming between, either bound by continuous links of the chain or lightly captured in their overlaps, these organic territories, the intersection of many actions experimenting with holding a space in that light twisted circle, creating new spaces, oscillating from 2D to 3D. And perhaps we can bring a little interest to those shapes if you're interested in them, or just letting again the hand move, the drawing continue to grow, occupying that organic territory, filling density through motion, the time expanding from every moment into the larger collection of a now breathing, living organism of the mind. In the last minute or so, we'll wind down the motion, making your final few marks and movements, bringing attention back to our physical space, the sensations around us. The hand, well trained now, can move through the paces without continual guidance of the eye, perhaps. We can begin to come to rest as we look around the room a little, glance the eyes here and there, feel how we're standing and where we are, regain a balance with the space around us, head turning right to left, diagonal up to down, moving the neck and shoulders around to bring back into attention all those parts that have been moving and working with the drawing. And as that winding down occurs, slowly letting the hand come to rest as it feels comfortable. That repetitive motion can hold on to something, keep us engaged. And a few breaths, a few rolling of the shoulder, bringing that attention out, back to the space around us. Lets the drawing, an organic collection of pieces, come to its own natural end as you move on to the next phases of your day. I have to say that did the trick for me, and I hope it brought some of that same release and expression for you. Feel ready to now engage with the phone calls and conversations, the tasks of difficulty through the day that may come up, with that place of stability, balance, by breathing into a space of emptiness and opening up that room to observe, to step back, and to choose how to proceed, to act with mindfulness rather than react to conditions at hand. If you enjoyed the practice here, you can find new episodes usually every Wednesday morning on YouTube. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Let me know in the comments what you found. I like to hear from people. A few more have been commenting recently, and it's fun to know that these reach someone and provide a little bit of time to engage in yourself, in your creativity, and in your mindful awareness. I do these practices for me as much as anything else. When I miss a week here and there, I definitely notice the loss of momentum in maintaining that stableness. And I try to remember to use what I learn here, what I do on these pages for the formal exercises throughout the day, maybe in a meeting or sitting on the train waiting for someone to show up for a coffee. Take out a piece of paper, move the pen or pencil, not with a need for an outcome, but just to center on a space of awareness, to practice that mindfully engaging of a task, to let that permeate out to the rest of our day and interactions. I thank you for joining in this journey of mindful drawing. And whatever you're doing the rest of the day, I hope it brings you some relaxation, some peace, and some openness. As you progress on your own adventure, remember, draw well. Thank you.